Welcome to the Choose Optimism podcast brought to you by Optimist International. We're talking about club struggles this week, and I am proud to have Lucie Régimbald from the Carlsbad Springs Optimist Club out of Ontario. Lucie, thanks for being with us today.
It's truly is a pleasure.
So when I usually think of like the Quebec or Ontario provinces, I think of big cities because there's Toronto and all that stuff, but you're more rural area in Ontario.
Yes, we are. And actually, we have clubs that are within the city of Ottawa, which is our capital, but most of the clubs in rural Eastern District are from the rural area. So you're looking at small places like 1,200, 1,800, 2,000 max as far as residents. So you have a little bit of a challenge there because we're all so close, but so distinct.
I can relate to that being out of Montana. We're going to have a million population for the whole state. So we have
Yeah.
tiny towns scattered all over the place. Let's talk about your Optimist Club a little bit. Tell us about your Optimist Club, the projects and the fundraisers you guys do.
Well, okay, just to give you a bit of context again, and we were founded in 1980, so we're celebrating as of this month 46 years of existence. So that's we want to make it to the 50th anniversary. Through the years, the challenges have changed. Of course, when we started off in the 80s, the Optimists were very, very popular. Clubs were being founded pretty well everywhere. Like we made it to, I'll say just our little district, about 56 clubs. Now we're down to 16, just to show you the challenges that we have. But overall, we managed to survive. And we survived even though our elementary school closed. Because you have to understand, in each of our little area, we don't have elementary, secondary, post-secondary. Like everything is like at the elementary level. Some areas you have in a secondary school, but not everybody. So when you lose your school, you sort of lose your heart because that's where you go and see the kids there, you do stuff with them. So it makes it easier. So when our school closed in 2000, we were a club that was sort of struggling at the time, with no school, hardly any kids. It was one of those like you sort of went down to having hardly any kids in the school. I think we were 50 to now coming back with no school and having over 250 kids attending some of our activities. So how did we make it? Well, again, it's the same thing. We started off with a certain age group to have the club. And then by the time we got to about 2010, we were struggling really bad. And then we brought in one young member. She was not even married. And we managed to, recruit her. And that person on her own went out and recruited a whole pile of friends her age, which was 19, 20, and 21. That's when we got our second breath, and it's been running high ever since. So it's these kids that had sort of enjoyed what the club had done in the 1980s, and then now they wanted to make sure their kids would actually enjoy the activities that we did for them. So it was yeah, it was very enlightening. So after that, of course, when you have new people, you get new ideas, basically. So you sort of think outside of the box. You don't do the regular stuff that the Optimist International, for example, will ask us to do, like the bike rodeo or the oratorical art or that kind of stuff, because we don't have a school anymore. So we have to sort of do different things. So we've managed to do some activities that are very, very different. This weekend, we're having a ceramic class. We have about 115 kids registered for that. It's free. They come in, they do their little ceramic thing for Easter themed, and then they go home with that nice little piece. That sort of, you attract a certain bunch of kids there. Then we did, someone said, well, let's do the partnership with the University of Ottawa, the engineering group, where they came in and showed kids the 3D printing. No, I mean, the kids were amazed with that. They just loved it. Then we move on. Then we now have a show at the end of March. It'll be a chemistry show. So this guy will come in and sort of show the magic of chemistry. So we try to go and aim a different age group, different types of activities. We even got the like a BMX show to come in last June, and that was a success. These guys were going all over the place. So it's always trying to sort of, like I said, think outside of the box. But the challenge is to get the money to go and get these shows. And that's where we also changed. We, as a rural club, you can't make a lot of money doing spaghetti suppers or, that kind of thing. So you need to make big fundraisers. And of course, being a rural community, you're small, you're, 1,800 people, there's so much money you can get. So we decided that the carnival or winter carnival was going to be the big fundraiser. And when you want to attract, I guess when you want to attract businesses to support you, you need to make them look good. So we started to do this flyer, or I'll call it booklet, where it's in color and you promote all the big businesses around. I mean, because we're close to Ottawa, people live in Carlsbad, but they work in Ottawa, so they all have businesses. And well, we've created a monster. This booklet is now making about $20,000 every time. So it's so with the 20,000, that's how you make the activities. So it's like a vicious circle. If you don't have the businesses, you don't have the fundraisers, you can't do the activities for the kids. But we found the perfect match. And it is very popular. We've become renowned in the community. I'll say almost the nucleus of the community because everybody knows the Optimist Club. In our area, they're the best kept secret because there's so many other, you have the Lions Club, you have all these other organizations, but we seem to have managed to find their niche and to be respected. And that's very important.
Well, it sounds like your Optimist Club is very busy doing lots of things, but let's take a step back for a second. How did you get involved with the Optimist Club?
Well, at the very beginning, it was my husband because women couldn't join the club until 1988, sorry. And then I joined when he was president in 1994. So I've been a member since. I went through the ranks, director, secretary, treasurer. I was president, then I was lieutenant governor, and then I actually worked at the district level for the leadership. So that's where I sort of got all my experience. But for me, it wasn't work. I enjoyed doing that kind of stuff because you're doing a difference in your community. And to me, that's the important step. So that's how I got involved. And I mean, everybody knows me.
What would you say is the biggest challenge for your club in a rural area?
Actually a few things. The first thing is the reputation. As much as you can be well loved and people support you, if you do something like a faux pas of some kind, you can lose that respectability very quickly. So you're always making sure that you're putting stuff in place, that nothing, you don't get people upset with whatever you do. So because everybody knows everybody. That is, I think, the one of the biggest challenge. The other the other challenge is to renew yourself. I mean, you're in the small community, everybody knows you, so if you do the same activities over and over again, you'll lose the interest. So hence the reason when you get these young kids involved, then you start the new thinking. And I think we managed to do that where some other clubs just didn't do it and didn't make it.
So that's an actually very interesting point. Your club actually supported some of the younger people with their projects and ideas to keep your club viable.
Yes, and you have to listen to them. That's the other thing, Shane, is I find that although we're all working for the optimists, we have a tendency as we age, and you can tell by the hair color of my hair that I am in my 70s. You need to be able to mentor them, but you don't want to box them in because they don't think like we think. So you have to let them go. Sometimes they miss out completely because it wasn't well thought of or it wasn't well, planned or whatever, but that's okay. They learn from that. And I found that that's how I let them do things because I could see other clubs in our area where the older ones, what this is the way it's always been done, and this is the way it's got to continue to be done. And if you do that, you're signing your death warrant. It doesn't work because the kids don't want to join something where they're controlled. They want to join something where they can make a difference.
This is actually a huge breath of fresh air because we've been trying to preach this is that change is not always a bad thing.
No, it's not. And if, like I said, if you miss out on one thing, everybody gains from it because you as an adult, older person will learn, and they will also learn. And what we think, well, that will never work. Well, surprise, surprise, it does because they are attracting what they all like. And I think this is where I've been saying this for years, Shane. We don't listen to the youth. And if we don't listen to them, they will not come and participate where they'll be controlled. I mean, I wouldn't have done it way back in 1994. Had I not been able to do different activities, I would have left.
That's one of the things I've been talking about lately is I always tell clubs the fastest way for a club to die is say we've always done things this way. That is I mean, it is very refreshing to hear somebody say that we need to embrace some new philosophies.
Yeah. And the other thing that the optimists, I can't say for those in the States because I don't know your reality, but I know in our area, partnership has got to be on the top of the list. Because if you don't partner with either businesses or another organization, or well, again, you're boxing yourself in. And the partnership will usually bring very refreshing ideas. And then you'll have people. I know when I do the carnival, for example, the reason it's so popular is I will say, okay, well this year we're going to be doing the curling. We call it the Flintstone curling. It's Javix cans filled with cement, and you've got your bar, and you actually throw your curling rock, but there's no sweeping, there's no hack. You're doing that outside, so you're going to get people from the age of 16 to right up to the age of 80 because everybody can sort of just bend down half and throw their rocks. That has got to be the most popular event of the carnival. I literally send out the notice that I'm taking in teams. I have 24 teams. Within 2 days, those 24 teams of 4 players are booked. People are fighting to get a spot in. And it's
Like you need to have
Flintstone.
you sounds like you need to get another one going too so you can have multiple people.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I want to take this on. Maybe someone else can after me, but it has been really a very, very popular. And then you do things 1 year and it works, and you do it a second, you do a third, and then you gotta shake it around. And that it has been working well. And that I think this is the reason of our success. The other part that also that we sort of discovered is in order to have their diploma, the high school diploma, the kids in our community have to have 40 hours of volunteer work. I don't know if that exists in the States, but they don't get their diploma if they didn't do 40 hours of volunteer work. That's a gold mine. They have to get that 40 hours. We need them as volunteers. So it's a win-win situation. So with time, they come over, do their 40 hours, sorry. And then what do? They join the club after because they've experienced what it's been to work with the Optimist Club. So that to us was a big success also.
How many members is your club?
69.
That's a pretty good number to keep that high that have that high number.
And
That's not
it's
an average.
been it's been like that for a good time. And we're actually I think we're the biggest club in the Eastern District of Ontario. And no school, the church is closed, and we have people that are coming from the city moving into this sort of, I call them bedroom community because we're just outside. Like you can literally have cows in front of your house, but you're 15 minutes from downtown Ottawa. So it's like more and more people are coming to, especially after COVID, after being stuck in an apartment. Everybody wanted a nice little yard with a house, and that's where we saw a big flip of people coming in with young families. And these people are saying, what do you mean? You're doing a ceramic class for free for the kids? So for them, it's like almost it's foreign because in the city you pay for everything. I mean that's the way it is. So we're sort of like on a fine line. We're close to the city, but we can still enjoy the rules. So that's the benefit of being a rural. But the con of being in a rural community is whenever there's not an influx of people changing, then you sort of just diminish, and then you become an older community, which is what happened to us in the 2000s. All the older people were the families. Well, they were staying in their homes, not moving out. Young families couldn't come in. There was no lots being freed up to build. So that's why we were sort of slowly shrinking down, hence the school closed. And now these older people moved on to residences or passed away or whatever, and then new families came in. And now we're right back in it again.
What advice would you have for a club that's struggling in a rural community to inspire them to add younger members?
Oh, mon Dieu. The first thing is you need to, I'll start again. The first thing you need to look at is there's always a leader in these young kids, one or two. There's always a couple of them. And then if you can get them to start participating, they will bring the others. And that's how you do it.
Yeah, and because like I said, we're having a really hard time recruiting younger people to join our organization, which we need to embrace that philosophy if we want to survive.
Yes. And the other thing that we tend to do, Shane, is we at least that's how it used to be when I joined in. The same people would do the same activities. You take over the same activity. Like if you were the person doing the oratorical art, well, that's it. You had it for life. No one else wanted it, and that was yours. And then as the projects get bigger and bigger, we just kept on adding to the pile. Young kids today don't want that. They have I'll say they might give you 3 hours in a day or in a weekend, or they may decide, okay, I'll help you with the carnival, Lucy, but I will take on this particular activity. I don't have time for the rest. Or I'm a summer person, so I'll help you with the ball diamond and cleaning it up and doing the scorekeeping, but don't bother me in winter. I'm doing something else. And I think this is what we have to do. We what we used to do, we need to break it down in smaller pieces because today's pace, family pace of life is definitely not the same as ours. They don't want what we did. They don't want to do that. They want to think of what do I want to do? I want to have some free time. I want to go with my family. I want to do this, but they volunteer all the time. Like my parents, nah, I don't want to do that. And it's not that it's bad. We wanted that as baby boomers. They don't. They just don't. So if I say to you, okay, we're putting the ceramic classes on the weekend. Can you come and help me to put up the tables and chairs at 8:45? And when you're done, you're gone. Okay, no problem. They'll be there. I need someone to be at the door welcoming people. Oh, I'll do that, but after that's done, I'm gone. So if you get them to do all kinds of different things. You piece it down is basically what it is. And then they'll be there. But don't ask them to be there at 8:45 and leave at night at 4 o'clock when it's over. That's a full day. I don't have time for that. That's the approach that I found. That's why it works. We're sort of giving them what they want to do, and then if they want to do more, they will. They'll embrace it and they'll do it when they're ready. But don't give it to them right at the go. They're gone. 2 years and they've left the clubs.
So you and I are probably on the same lines that there's a myth that people don't want to volunteer anymore. It just changed how people wanted to volunteer.
Exactly. That's what it is. They want to do what they want to do. It could be a little bit of a mixture of everything. Could be they love to do cross-country skiing with their kids, or maybe they're stuck in hockey. Because once you put a child in hockey, that's where all your time goes. But maybe in the summer, they can help you in doing certain things. So you can't say, well, we haven't seen you all year, and now you show up in June, and then it's almost done. Well, that at least you showed up in June. So if you have 70 members and they all do their niche of time, well, then it adds up at the end of the year and everybody's worked and the team is a success.
I think this is going to be great advice for clubs that are struggling right now because like I said before, we really need to change this mindset that we can always do things the same way.
No, and you can't. we've gone passe. It's like this has moved on. That's why the Knights of Columbus in our area are closing in. They couldn't recruit young kids. That's why the Lion Club in our area are not doing well. It's all the older generation. And as they leave, the clubs fold. So if we continue that way, the Optimist clubs will also fold. It's it's not the fact that it's good or not good. It's just that the interest is not there for the kids or the younger generation. And the other thing is time wise. I remember uh, I used to work 8 to 4. I mean, that's the way it was. Picked up the kids, came back. They don't have 8 to 4 jobs anymore. By the time they bring in the kids to the daycare at 6:30, drive into town, do their full day of work, come back. By the time they get home and have supper done, they homework, it's night, it's 8 o'clock. No time for volunteer. Like this is it. This is my life. Like this is how they do it. So then you focus on the weekend. Well, it's the 2 days I get to see my kids. Am I going to spend it there all the time doing whatever? So it's you really have no. We need to look at our umbilical, our belly button, like they say, and sort of say, what do we expect? Let's be realistic about this. And then the other thing that we've also put in place is you never have a president doing a 2-year term because that doesn't work. You need to have a new person every year, even though that person is not the greatest match, then the members want to help out someone who's new at this. If the guy or the lady is there for 2, 3 years, that don't work. That's the beginning of the end.
That is a really good point that you've because new people bring new ideas.
This is it. And then not only new ideas, but a new influx of energy. Like, if you're sitting around we had a board of directors meeting last night. We're 12 in the committee. I'm the oldest, and the youngest is probably 20. So there's a good, a big span of age. And if you let them speak and you listen to what they have to bring, you'd be amazed how things can actually work. And it's interesting, but you need to be there and mentor them, but at the same time, not mentor, but mentor them. But you need to also let them take it on and do their stuff because they have a different view. It's just a different mentality, different times.
What advice would you have for clubs that we've talked about this before, but what advice would you have for clubs that say we've always done things or we can't find new members? What is your biggest piece of advice you can give them for growing?
Well, first of all, you can't find members is because you're not looking. You don't go, oh, I don't know if she's going to take this on. I'm not sure if she really would be a good member. Oh, look at them. Oh, well, they have another life. So before you even start going to recruit, you bring it down. And most of the time, the person that you're not asking is right next to you and would say yes. We had one, and that's an experience I lived myself. I went out and I was looking to recruit members, and this one person was around me all the time, but never really said she was interested in becoming a member. So you just sort of work and you do stuff, and she'd volunteer, but be in and finally one day she says, it's funny, nobody's asking me to become a member. She just was there doing it on her time as not as a volunteer, but not even an Optimist member. And I had been working with that person for the last 2 years. And I thought, how in the world did I not see that she would have loved to become a member? So sometimes you have to look closer around your circle than to actually always try to go and recruit the new person coming in or there's always people. Always. You just need to ask them, basically, is what it is. And the worst they'll say is no. And then you move on and go to the next. But there are a lot of people around. And the other thing I have to add to that, who wants to join a club that's not successful and that's not having fun?
That's a very good point. I think we need to forget
So
sometimes we are supposed to be having fun and enjoying ourselves while we're doing this.
yeah, sincere. Like this year, what we've been doing a lot of stuff for the kids, and this year we decided, okay, enough is enough. like we need to think of the parents. So at the end of April, we're having it's called a magic show for adults, is what it is. We'll have a bar. Well, I mean, nothing exorbitant. Just, they come in, they pay $10 for the ticket. This is not a fundraiser. Like we're going to lose money on this one, but we're reaching out to the parents and say, if you want a break on the Friday night, 7:30, you come in for an hour. The guy will do his show, which is an adult show. I've seen it. It's going to be it's really, really good. 8:30 to 9:30. And then you stay and have a couple of drinks. 11:30, you're home. It's been a nice night out and you had a good time. You relaxed without having the kids running all around all the time. And so I think this is the time that we're due for that because we've worked hard. This time we don't need to do much. We just get there and have a drink and look at this show. So we'll see how that goes. But I think that was someone that brought it from the board of director. Again, a younger family, a mother. And she says, you never go out. We're running all the time. And she says, maybe we should do this for the club. We'll see how that works. But my intuition is this is going to be a real success. So we'll see how that turns out.
Well, it's amazing that your club actually listens to people that want to do things. That's a breath of fresh air for a change because, like I know I've said this multiple times today, but this is a firm philosophy I have for Optimist International. People are supposed to be having fun, and you should listen to people when they want to step up and be a leader and do things.
Yes. And we have leaders. The kids, the youth or the young adults or young people who are having family, these are our future leaders. And if we don't let them sort of bring in ideas and listen to them, well, they're not going to stay. Like, why would I want to pay to become an Optimist member, to work and not have fun? To me, it's a no-brainer.
Yep, it's a no-brainer. And like I said, it's nice to see that your club embraces that philosophy and lets those leaders shine and do things that they're very capable and probably doing.
And this is, again, I have to bring it right back to our founding president, Gaston Desjardins. He's the one that actually founded this club in 1980. And actually, he passed away just 2 months ago. So 4 years shorter of our 50th. But he was like that. He would think outside of the box. He was, I won't say visionary, but close. And this is what he would say to me because we would chat. He was my cousin, and he would say to me, Lucy, you're listening to the young kids. This is what you got to do. You got to let them think that they actually make a difference in their club. And then he says, and then you let them do it so they know they are making a difference. And the other thing we would hear from the kids, like I think I said that at the beginning, is those that enjoyed the Optimist Club in the 1980s and 90s will now have families and kids, and they want their children to experience what they did because they loved it so much. So we have to let them do it.
I hope clubs listening to this will take your advice and follow your lead in actually growing our membership and getting things done instead of just saying this is the way we've always done it.
I hope so too, because it is. Otherwise, we're going to be like the Knights of Columbus and like the Legions and then all these other big institutions that just, I guess, either didn't change or just did it the same old way. I don't know. It could be something else, but that's my vision. I think that you need to let them do their stuff the way they want to. It may not be to our agreement, but hell, we're the older bunch. We're on the way out. They're on their way in.
Well, Lucy, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to talk to our membership and hopefully setting a great example that other clubs should follow.
Yes, I hope so. Because the Optimist International is a great organization. Like we do wonderful stuff for kids. We make a difference in these children. And I could give you many examples that I've actually personally experienced, and that's why I continue, because I find that they will remember us. Like I go to Costco and I see these 5, 6 year old going with their parents, and they'll say, "Oh, there's the lady from the Optimist Club." That says a lot. If they have identified you to something pleasant, they will want to be part of it eventually.